Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei teleported in Pokémon by Arceus in Harem Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Nefarious Doctor for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Thinking this is when talking or thinking comes into play. This is when Drag or Pokémon are talking. I don't own anything. This is my first time writing a fanfic, so go easy on me. But besides that, enjoy. Hope you like it. Issei was standing in the orc room all by himself. He wondered what he did wrong. Ravel's mother just called and asked him to look after her daughter and to mention that she was a free bishop. He thought the statement was directed at him. Then after the call, Riaz asked him if he would protect her, Asia, Akeno, and the other girls. He had said yes that he would because of his duty to Butchu. Riaz was shocked, then called him stupid before running out of the room and slammed the door. He then remembered what they all said to him after she left the room. Issei, how could you? Why can't you understand Ria's feelings? Asia yelled at him, which shocked him to the very core because Asia hardly yelled at him. Honestly Issei, why must you be so stupid and naive? Akeno said as she shook her head as if she was disappointed in him. Issei. Why must you be so perverted? You were more innocent when we were kids. If only I could have saved you with God's power. Irina yells at him. Issei was wondering why they were mad at him. Outwardly, he was confused, but on the inside he was furious at them. He fought tooth and nail for all of them, trained himself to death, and almost died a few times, mind you. And has been doing most of the dirty work for them, since it felt like they hardly did anything but stand on the sidelines while he fought, and all they did was collect the spoils of every fight, and what did he get? A pat on the back and a good job from them. Is this because of my mother and I? If so, I apologize for this. Ravel said as she bowed her head in order to calm everyone. Akeno came from behind the couch and wrapped her arms around Ravel and then said to her, it's not Ravel's fault. If anyone is at fault, it's Issei for not taking Ria's feelings into consideration. Issei, you are not allowed to leave until you know how Ria's feels. After that was said, all of the orcs started to leave, except Issei, who had his head down with his eyes covered by his hair. Little did they know, someone else was watching them and was disappointed in the group. Issei was clenching his hands to calm himself as he started to mentally berate them for what they said to him. Her feelings. What about my feelings? I did everything and sacrificed all that I had for all of them, and what do I get? Betrayal and cruel words for fools for not even understanding my own pain. Drake was listening to his partner and was also disappointed in the devils, for he believed they would heal the hole in his heart and kill the ghost that haunts him. While this was happening, a golden portal appeared beneath Issei, and a silver hand appeared and dragged the boy through the portal. Issei screamed as he wondered what was happening to him until he felt solid ground. He stood up and looked around him and saw what looked like a council room of sorts. Drake, what's going on? Where are we? Issei asked his friend as he looked for a way out. Please do not be alarmed by the area. I am the one who brought you here. I know what happened to you, and I am sorry for all the pain that you had to endure. A voice came from the area, but Issei couldn't find where it was coming from. Where are you? If you are innocent as you say, reveal yourself immediately, Issei yelled to the walls. My apologies, I should introduce myself. The voice said as a bright light enveloped the area. Issei had to cover his eyes so he wouldn't go blind. Eventually, the light died down, and before him was one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen since being reincarnated. She was as tall as Roswas and had long silver hair flowing down to the middle of her back. There were two scabbard-like rings on her sides, red eyes, and had grey pants that just squeezed and showed off her legs, and wide. Arceus herself was a bit flustered from the attention Issei gave her, but she knew there were some things she had to explain to him. Ahem, now I suppose you're wondering who I am, where you are, and what do I want from you, but I only want to see you happy after everything you went through in your world. So allow me to introduce myself. I am Arceus, the god Pokémon, and I have been watching you for a while. The woman who declared herself as Arceus said as a table appears before her with cushions and tea for both of them. Issei was a bit skeptical about all this, but complied nonetheless, as Arceus gestured for him to sit and have some of the tea. He drinks it and surprisingly enjoys it. Setting down his cup, he looks at her in the eyes before asking in a calm manner. What do you mean when you said you were watching me, and what do you want from me? Arceus was surprised by the tone before telling herself she never explained the situation to him. Setting down her own cup on the table, she gazed into his eyes and saw many emotions, pain and sorrow, but a little spark of light was in his eyes. Personally, she wanted to make those insecure children see the error of their ways, but knew she was not one to get involved in trivial matters, especially with the favor she must ask of the man in front of her. My home has many terrorist organizations that wish to use my children's powers for their own selfish reasons and world domination. I have my own chosen one, but the chosen in this universe is a little dense to say the least. I needed someone who could see the pain in others and help them become stronger, and that's when I noticed your pure heart. Granted, you act like a pervert, but I know of your mask you put on to hide your pain. She bowed her head before him, surprising Issei but continued to listen. I know I am selfish to ask you this, but please go into the universe I will send you to and defend humans and Pokémon. Become a trainer that no one has ever seen before. If you accept, I wish to give you some gifts to aid you in your journey, but the choice is yours to make. Issei was shocked beyond belief that a beautiful goddess is asking him to go to the Pokémon world, become a trainer, and defeat organizations. It sounded just like the game, but he knew he would be leaving his home for a while. As if sensing his thoughts, Arceus said that the time gap is large, basically 1 year here equals 1 month back home. After speaking with Drake during the conversation, he made his decision. I'll do it. Arceus smiles warmly and places a hand on his head, and Issei could feel a power enter him, and next thing he knew he blacked out. Arceus caught him and cradled him in her arms, while preparing all that he would need for his journey. Send me some ideas on what Pokémon he should catch. He'll start in Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, then Sinnoh, and maybe Unova. Also send me some girls who you think should join. I will not accept the following: Misty, May, Dawn, or Iris. Issei opens his eyes and looks around his home before seeing a backpack on his desk, along with a letter addressed to him. I bet this is from Arceus. Still, it was nice of her to give me a home, and not only that, but she gave me some money to start off with. But that's later. For now, let's see what she wants. Issei tears open the envelope and pulls out the letter. Dear Issei, if you are reading this, then you found the backpack on your new desk. Inside the backpack, you will find all of the essentials you will need, such as potions, poke food, pokeballs, your Pokédex, and camping supplies. Yes, I know you enjoy camping so much, so I thought of giving you an opportunity to bond with your Pokémon on the road. Now let's get to the main reason for the letter. I wanted to explain the powers that I bestowed upon you. Just know, no one has ever received a blessing from myself or any other legendary. You were given 3 gifts that I believe suit your personality. The first one is similar to your heart lingual ability. You know how to read people's hearts. Well, now you can read Pokémon's hearts and understand what they are saying. The second gift is the ability to copy a Pokémon's move or ability. In order to use this power, you must catch a Pokémon and have the boosted gear analyze the Pokémon's moves and abilities, which will allow you to use them and unlock new balance breaker forms. I thought you would like to train with a little more oomph, as you humans would say. Now, before I get to the final gift, I know you're still hurting from their words, but know that they are not here and will not hurt you. There are many women here who would love you for being yourself, so don't close off your kind heart. It's what makes you Issei. Now, the final gift is Blessing. This will allow you to give your Pokémon a human form, but it can only work if you give them a name. When a Pokémon is given a nickname, they can become stronger as a human. Not only that, but if the human Pokémon trains while being a human, all of their training is transferred to the Pokémon body. Now that's all I can say, so go to my trainer, become stronger, find friends who will stay by your side, protect others and help those in need, but most importantly, never lose your heart. You will find love again. I know that you are destined for great things, so no matter how tall the mountain is, remember to keep climbing to the top and reach the goal. Sincerely, Arceus. P.S. This note will burn to ash in 3, 2, 1. The note in Issei's hand burned to ash and disappeared into the wind. Well, that happened, but still copying a Pokémon's abilities and giving them a human form, that sounds too good to be true. Don't you think, Drake? The gauntlet appeared and glowed as it spoke. Well, we won't know unless we try. And I do believe she is telling the truth. Personally, I trust her because she listened to you and didn't force you to do anything, unlike the Gremory brat who never asked for anyone's opinion. She actually explained everything that she wanted from you, unlike the brat who left you in the dark and never bothered to teach you about the moonlit world. Issei thought back, and what Drake said was true. Riaz and the others at first never tried to help him improve physically or mentally. He was winging everything at first, and it was only until after Riser did he actually receive training. He shook his head to get rid of those thoughts. He was in a new world and had a fresh start, and there was no way in hell he was going to mess it up. Issei grabbed his bag and brought out his Pokédex. It will be the Unova region's version, and put it inside of his pocket for safekeeping. Alright, backpack check, tent check, food check, house key check. That's everything. Off to Professor Oak's lab. 10 minutes later. Issei arrived at the lab and was about to walk in the door were it not for the arrogant snot-nosed brat Gary Oak, the grandson of Oak. Gary walked outside and saw Issei before scoffing at him before saying, "Let me guess, you're here for your first Pokémon. Well, too bad for you, I got the best one of them all." Issei scoffed before saying, "Really? Who?" Gary scoffs back. "Who do you think Squirtle is? The strongest starter besides that overgrown vegetable and puny fire lizard. I got my hands on a real champ." "Well, see you later, loser, got some Pokémon to catch," Gary says as he gets in his car and speeds off in the distance. Issei just shrugged before walking into the lab where Oak greets him with a warm smile on his face. Issei. It's good to see you now, as you know I don't have Squirtle anymore since Gary chose him, but I still have these two lovely girls, Bulbasaur and Charmander. Issei looks at both of them before saying, Professor, would it be okay if I took them both with me? I know I can only receive one, but I think Bulbasaur and Charmander really want to come with me. Issei bows to him before saying, please let me take both of them with me. His head was down until Oak put a hand on his shoulder before calming Issei down. I figured you would ask that, and I wanted to give you both of them because the third trainer who was supposed to come here decided that she no longer wanted to be a trainer, she wished to become a coordinator instead. So to answer your question, yes, you can have them both. Issei is so excited that he looks at both of them and could see the sparkles in their eyes as they were happy to go with him. Alright, from here on out we're not just trainer and Pokémon. We're family, and that means we always look out for each other no matter what, so you two are in? Issei asks as he holds out his arms for them. Both of them were happy and excited to be with a trainer who would actually care for them. Bulbachar, they said to each other before jumping into his arms. Oak looks at the scene and ponders a bit of how this trainer was a gem in the rough, just waiting to show its shine to the world. Alright you three, here are their Pokeballs and have fun, and remember your team is always with you no matter what. Oak says with a smile as he waves them off. Issei walks on Route 1 and finds a secluded spot for fishing before calling out his two partners. Bulbasaur sits on his lap while Charmander sits on his shoulder. Issei absent-mindedly starts to pet them and show them love until he remembered the blessing power he had from Arceus. Hey, would you guys mind if I named you so it would be easier to separate you from the others? They looked at each other before nodding a yes that they would love nicknames. Alright, let's do this. Turns to Charmander, you're a dragon, and despite that you're gentle to others. How about Bloom? Is that alright with you? Charmander nods rapidly and Bulbasaur calls out to Issei so she could get her name. Don't worry, I didn't forget you. Let's see you control flowers and nature. How about Flora? It means flowers and nature. Bulbasaur nods her head, and before any of them knew it, both of them were glowing gold before they started to take on a more feminine form. When they stopped glowing, before Issei stood two girls. One had grass green hair, a lime green dress with dark green spots, and on her back, you could see the bulb that all Bulbasaurs have on their backs. The second one had short orange hair, a white shirt with khaki overalls. If you looked carefully you could see her tail that still had its flame around her waist like a belt. Both of them looked scared until they saw Issei, and the next thing he knew there were two girls crying on his chest, saying, Master Issei, what is this? Master, what happened to us? How did giving us a name do this? They would have continued were it not for Issei rubbing their back softly and ing their foreheads before they eventually settled down. After they calmed down, Issei explained his power that he received from Arceus in a dream and how he rested to see if it worked, and sure enough it did. Bloom and Flora were surprised, but then had thoughts of being with their master as a person, going on dates, training, and battling together, combined with mating. And at that moment, they were blushing red like tomatoes and were brought back to reality as Issei told them when it was just them they could be human, but in the city they had to either act human or be in their Pokeballs. They agreed to the terms before asking if they could train with him. Issei was actually looking forward to the idea of training with them, but before doing so he asked what their moves were. Bloom started saying her moves. My moves right now are Scratch, Growl, Ember, and Dragon Rage. Flora took her place and started my moves are Tackle, Leer, Leech Seed, and Sleep Powder. Issei was impressed by some of their moves before going over to Flora and started to pat her head and copy her moves and powers before doing the same to Bloom, who was blushing from the attention. Afterwards, they prepared themselves for a fun training session while getting used to their new bodies. In the evening, Issei has his sleeping bag out and was testing out how to use the moves and found something interesting about the copy ability. If any of his Pokémon learned a new move, he would automatically receive that move to his arsenal as well. Right now Flora and Bloom were knocked out and sleeping in the sleeping bag as well before he crawled in, and as if second nature they cling to him and snuggle next to him. He smiles to himself because he could feel their emotions weeping into him, making him very happy indeed. Unknown to the three, there were a few Pokémon observing them throughout the night. And in Saffron City, there was a young woman who had dark green hair and a long style and glowing pink eyes. She stared out the window and looked at the stars while saying to herself, please come soon, my emperor. This maiden shall heal your heart. Issei woke up and noticed two things. 1. The girls were cuddling up to him like he was a teddy bear, and 2. There were a few Pokémon surrounding the camp, but the strange thing was that they were not attacking or going through the food. He was able to wiggle himself free of their grip and made his way to start a fire to get breakfast cooking. The Pokémon were watching him as if wondering what he was doing. One of them was a bit braver and walked over to him to hand him an ingredient he dropped. Issei smiles as he saw what it was trying to do, so he grabbed both the food and the Pokémon, bringing them to the fire. The Pokémon started to get more comfortable around him and were attracted to the scent of the meal he was making. While waiting for the meal to finish, he took his Pokédex to scan the Pokémon that were at the camp. He soon learned that there were Pokémon not native to Kanto here right before him. The Pokémon he scanned were a pair of Wurmples, Anaconda, a Gligar, a Goomy, an Ekans, and a Mimikyu. The one that surprised him the most was Goomy and Mimikyu, because one is from Kalos and the other from the Alola region. "Hey, what are you doing here, and have you been watching me and the girls for a while?" Issei asked. Mimikyu came up and sat down on Issei's lap. "Activate Poke Translate." "Well, at first it was just Goomy and myself. We were abandoned by our trainers. Mine didn't want an ugly Pokémon, and Goomy's trainer said that he was too weak and wasn't evolving quick enough," Mimikyu said to Issei, who was shocked. "You mean to tell me they abandoned you for silly reasons such as being ugly or too weak? That is the most ridiculous excuse I'd heard of before in my life. All Pokémon are perfect just the way they are, and eventually you will evolve and become stronger," Issei said to those who were surprised that not only could he understand them, but his words filled them with courage and an unknown strength. "Thank you," they all shouted in unison. "Master, where are you and what's that smell?" Bloom said as she was rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. She was surprised to find that there was a small group of Pokémon surrounding her master. She quickly jumped from the sleeping bag and stood protectively in front of him. "Don't worry, master, I won't let them near." Why her sentence was cut off by Issei rubbing her head and said, "They are not a threat. Stand down, Bloom." Bloom compiled but sat close to him, keeping an eye on the Mimikyu on his lap. Issei wanted to go ahead and get breakfast served, so he clapped his hand together, getting their attention. "Alright, I imagine some of you must be hungry, so Bloom, go wake up Flora, Mimikyu, you and Goomy can help me get the bowls out of the bag, and as for the rest of you, go to the forest and find some berries that might taste good. Let's do this." They all cheered and went about to accomplish their goals. Flora was shocked but expected that from her master and went to help set up the table. After Ekans and her group came back with the berries, Issei took them and mashed them into a juice for everyone so they could have a little boost of energy for the day. As they all ate breakfast, some of them were talking to either Bloom or Flora to know what he was like as a person and in battle. Bloom's Pav. "You want to know what he's like? Well, Flora and I have only been with him for a day and he seems like a good person. He doesn't see us as just partners for battle or something to help him gain fame and fortune. He sees us as a family, and when he gave us our names, he helped us get used to walking, running, and even trained us how to use our power when in this form." Flora's Pav. "When I see him, he reminds me of a calm sea. Bloom may see the warrior and leader in him, but deep down I can see he is in deep pain. Something happened to him, but he's always making sure we're okay, and if we're fine, but what about his happiness? He deserves to be loved by others, and I would do anything to see him truly smile for just one moment so I can tell myself that he's happy now. I'll always stay by his side no matter what. That's who I am Bulbasaur and Flora. If you want to face Issei, you'll have to get past me and Bloom." Later that evening, in Viridian City. Issei was laying down in his temporary bed without Bloom or Flora next to him. Apparently, the two wanted to talk, so he let them speak while he got used to his new Pokémon. Mimikyu, Goomy, Silcoon, Cascoon, Ninjask, Gligar, and Ekans. All of them really wanted to join his team, so after catching them all he figured he might as well train with them, so he set up a training regime that involved him working out with his new Pokémon. He made sure to spend time with each of them during the training, and it paid off because both the Wurmples evolved to both Silcoon and Cascoon, while Nincada evolved into Ninjask. The others made great progress today. Mimikyu learned Shadow Sneak and Claw, while Goomy learned Rain Dance and Dragon Pulse. Gligar learned X-Scissor and Guillotine, after continuously slashing at the tree with his claws. And finally Ekans learned Sludge Attack and Fling after tossing and knocking the others away when wrestled each other. He had been sleeping until the alarm went off in the center. He bolted out of bed and quickly called out both Mimikyu and Ekans. "Listen, I need you both to go through the vents to see what's going on outside. Take this walkie-talkie with you when you see something. I'm counting on you both." Both Ekans and Mimikyu understood the situation and quickly made their way around the center, trying to be as quiet as possible. Mimikyu held out a hand telling Ekans to stop, and they could hear a battle happen on the other side. Mimikyu peered out of the corner and saw two people, a man and woman, standing alongside Eradicate, a Hitmontop, and a Sableye laughing at a young woman with purple hair, wearing a long-sleeved purple and white shirt with yellow for the ons and purple pants, who had a winded Kadabra and Espeon. "What's wrong, little girl? Didn't you say you could beat us? Well, I don't think your Pokémon have the same idea," the lady taunted. "Look, just hand over your Pokémon and we'll be on our merry way," the man taunted. Mimikyu was letting the walkie-talkie record and transmit everything to Issei, who was not happy at what they were saying. "Mimikyu, buy me some time to get there, help the girl out and protect her. Do not hold back with these thieves, show them your power." Mimikyu and Ekans respond to Roger as captain. The lady pointed at the Kadabra Raticate, finished that overgrown fox off with Hyper Fang. Raticate jumps and was just about to take a bite, and not for a purple blur that knocked Raticate aside. The woman looked shocked before she yelled, "Who's there? Show yourself." Mimikyu snuck behind the confused Sableye and used a double shadow claw on it, making it cry out in pain. "What the where did you come from?" the guy said to Mimikyu, who only glared at him and threw a shadow ball at him, which sent him flying into the couch. "Butch. You overgrown trash bag. You're going to regret that." Hitmontop rolling kick, Raticate quick attack, and Sableye show them a real shadow ball. The lady ordered and just like that they complied. A voice rang out in the battle. Mimikyu used Shadow Punch, Ekin Sludge Attack, and Ninja's Quick Slash. Mimikyu hit Sableye with the punch made of shadows and cancelled out the shadow ball. Beacons fires the ball of poison at Hitmontop, who was hit but was also able to land a few hits on the snake. And Ninjask used quick attack to close in on Raticate before using slash, landing critical damage to the rat. The lady was shocked that her and Butch's Pokémon were beaten by some kid. She looked around for the trainer until she felt someone tap her shoulder. "Hey lady, I can already see that you're weak and mine are still ready to rock, so I'm going to make a little deal with you. Release the Pokémon you stole from the center, grab your partner, leave, and never return," Issei said to her while glaring at her. Cassidy was scared of that glare, it was even more terrifying than her boss. She looked back at her team before saying to herself, "I guess this is one of those times I need to swallow my pride." She looked Issei in the eye before saying deal. Issei held his hand out to her, and she complied before handing the back with the stolen Pokeballs, returning her team, and lifting Butch up and supporting him with her shoulder. As she was leaving, there was a question that was bugging her. "You could have arrested us, why didn't you?" Issei shrugged and said, "I do believe in showing mercy at times, and I was in a good mood. Nothing more, nothing less." After the two thieves left, Issei went to Anabel and asked if she was okay. Anabel thanked Issei for the help and for getting the Pokémon back. "I was trying to fight, but it was difficult to do so because of their cheap shots." She poured as she said this, and Issei was struggling not to laugh at her before Officer Jenny came over and thanked the kids for helping the Pokémon Center. The next day, Issei was up and his team already had their breakfast, which was on the house as a thanks for saving the Pokémon, and was about to head out until a voice called out to him, "Wait." Issei turned to see Anabel panting and trying to get her breath back before she stood up and grabbed Issei's hands. "Can you please let me travel with you? I won't be a burden and I want to see the world and learn more about Pokemon's inner strength, and I can't explain it, but your aura makes me want to follow you. So please let me join you." Issei was shocked until he remembered Arceus saying to never let his heart harden and thought maybe I can trust her. He saw the hope in her eyes before chuckling while rubbing her head. "Alright, you can join, but I won't force you to do something you don't want to do. We'll probably see things only few people see, and we might run into some more criminals along the way, knowing that you are still up for it." Anabel was shocked at what he said until she nodded her head vigorously before saying, "I live for adventure, and if you ever need help I'll come and help you as well." Issei, for a moment, saw himself in her before saying, "Alright, me lady, let us be off." He held out his hand and Anabel took it before saying, "The sun's shining, and there's a big world out there, and let's see it all." Issei and Anabel have been together for 3 weeks now, and they have really grown to like each other's presence. They were opposites but got along very well. Anabel was shy but smart, and Issei was strong and ready to train to get stronger. After a week of being together, Issei decided to tell Anabel about himself, and, shockingly, Anabel liked that he was different, and she appreciated that he was honest with her about his past and doesn't hold it against him. Their training was intense because at first Anabel wasn't really one to work out, but after watching her team get stronger after joining the training and seeing Issei with no shirt, she decided to join in his exercising regime. And it wasn't just them, the Pokémon has grown to like both companies, and Issei's Pokémon got along with Anabel's Kadabra, Espeon, and Metang. Some of Issei's Pokémon evolved as well, such as his Silcoon, Cascoon, and Incanda. He now had Bodifly, Dustox, and Ninjask. Anabel's Pokémon got stronger too, and Metang evolved into Metagross, while Kadabra and Espeon got stronger with their physic powers, thanks to Issei teaching them through Senjutsu. Speaking of training, Issei has been training with his new balance breakers and has been doing well, according to Drake, who has not come out in a while. Apparently he wants Issei to become closer to his new companions. Issei thanked him, and right now they were actually talking about trading some of their Pokémon. It would seem that Metagross has actually gotten close to him while Bodifly, Dustox, and Gligar have bonded with Anabel and wouldn't mind joining her if that was alright with Issei. He was happy they got along and asked if Anabel was okay, and she was shocked most people would jump at the opportunity before then, but to ask her for her consent warmed her heart truly. They decided to do the trade when they get to the next town at the Pokémon Center. As for Bloom and Flora, the two of them have grown close to Issei and have been wary of Anabel, but after talking to her about how she feels they accepted her and keep giving her opportunities to tell Issei how she feels, but she gets so nervous she freezes and stutters. As for the rest of the journey, two new Pokerl joined the club and it was actually none other than Mimikyu and Ninjask. They wanted to be a human girl as well, so he agreed on the condition that they follow the same rules he laid out for Bloom and Flora. They agreed and thus they were named Alice and Suzu. Alice was a tall girl with long brown hair that went to her middle back and her clothes resembled her Mimikyu outfit, black pants and the Mimikyu outfit, along with a collar coming to her mouth and had long sleeves and the ears were in her hair like cosplay including her tail. She also has red eyes and sharp black claws that made her look like a shy reaper. Suzu looked like a tall girl in a black ninja outfit with her wings on her back and the ninja's headgear on top along with sharp knives inside of her gloves. Both of them wanted to protect their master, but it went beyond that. Mimikyu remembered when Issei called her beautiful when she was first caught, and that's what she always wanted to be called because people were so scared of her kind, and Ninjask wanted to watch her master from thieves and attackers in the night when his back was turned, plus she always wanted to be a ninja. Back to the story, Anabel and Issei were walking down the path to the Vermillion City Gym, and apparently the leader has an oversized ego and puts poor Pokémon in the room. Issei was disgusted by this because from the other gym leaders Brock and Misty, they cared for their Pokémon. As they were walking they saw a boy run with Eradicate in his arms crying, feeling sorry for him he healed the rat and asked what happened. There was a kid who challenges anyone and beats them badly, then badmouths them for being weak trainers. He calls himself AJ, and he has 98 wins and is hoping to make it to his 100th win. I have to go but thanks for healing Eradicate for me sir. It's no trouble at all but can you tell me about this kid's gym? Oh yeah, it's along the tree side and I can't miss it. Bye. Then the kid took off. Anabel looked at Issei with a beautiful smile and said that was very noble of you to do, Issei. Most people would have walked by, but you helped him instead. Issei looked at the path the boy came from and said I don't like bullies and how they hurt others just to make themselves feel better, so why don't we teach a bully a lesson? They found the gym and when they saw AJ they were unimpressed with his training conditions. I mean don't get me wrong the belts and straps are cool, but a whip is a little overkill. The Pokémon are strong but are given little time to rest and Issei could tell some were about to collapse from exhaustion. AJ was whipping an EV to go faster in the treadmill, but this EV was different, its tail and neck were rainbow colored and had a glow about it. Having enough he grabbed the whip and broke it while glaring at AJ. AJ was not scared and flared back at him hey what's that for? I'm training my Pokémon. So whipping them like they're some animal is training. If you had actually looked at them they were drained from exhaustion and little rest. You'll kill some of them at this rate. How I train is my own business. I bet I could beat you with just one Pokémon. Issei smirks. If that is so then how about a wager? If I win I get that rainbow EV and if you win I'll give you one of my Pokémon deals. Fine, prepare to lose, loser. AJ stomps to his side of the battlefield and calls out a Sandshrew. That's cute, but mine are stronger than Gumi. Gumi landed and glared at the shrew before it saw AJ laughing at him. How's that little slime going to hurt me? Sandshrew ends this with slam. Sandshrew runs and prepares to hit Gumi. Gumi dodge and water dragon dance. Gumi dodged and shot a ball of water in the sky, but the ball was a little red and draconic energy was radiating from it. Gumi was boosted by the rain, but Sandshrew looked weak from the rainfall. AJ looked shocked. Hey, what did you do to him? Water dragon dance is a combination of water and dragon dance. It strengthens dragon types, but weakens other non-dragon types. And it looks like you're in even more trouble, a dragon is being born today. Issei says with a cocky smirk on his face. Gumi glows and he gets brighter before becoming Sligo and learning Dragon Pulse and Breath. And sadly Sandshrew was defeated in seconds due to the rain and Sligo. AJ accepted defeat and handed the EV to Issei who took an instant liking to him and AJ asked if Issei had an Ekans with him because he's always wanted one and in exchange for a Riolu. He thought about it and decided to trade, so now Issei has a Riolu and it's a male. So now there are 4 guys in the group Issei, Kadabra, Riolu and Gligar. AJ decided to shut down his gym and go on a journey and hopefully get to the Pokémon League. And when they shook hands a new rivalry was born that day. Part 2. Anabel and Issei were camping for the night and Issei decided to do some training and a little fishing before hitting the hay. Away from the group he calls out his 3 Pokémon group Elekid, Magby, and his new Riolu. He caught Magby and Elekid in a fight and saw their potential as warriors. The 3 of them trained to evolve at the same time and impress boss, that's the nickname for they came up with for Issei. They knew that they needed a little nudge to become stronger, but they were getting there. Issei helped Riolu concentrate Aura and helped him learn Aura Sphere. Magby is almost Magmar and Elekid is near Electabuzz he could see it in their eyes. Issei gave them their assignments and they went about doing their training. As for Evie, Issei decided to name her Evlon and appeared as a small girl with big brown and lavender eyes and had rainbow short bobbed hair. Evlon loved her form and started to call Issei daddy and Anabel mommy, much to their embarrassment, but they didn't hate it. In fact, they loved being called a family. The next day, Issei and Anabel were walking down the path and saw a boy running on a treadmill with 3 guys around him. And they did not look friendly at all, they looked like they were enjoying the kid's torment. The kid in front was holding a picture of a Pidgey and asked the runner, "What level does Pidgey evolve?" 12. Wrong, 13. Increase speed to max. He yelled and the runner was off the treadmill and landed on the ground face first and got a mouthful of dirt. Wow, if you couldn't even remember Pidgey, then you don't belong at Pokémon University. The boys sneered and threw rocks at the kid. Seeing enough, Anabel told Kadabra to send the rocks back at the bullies, and the rocks glowed blue before hitting the 3 jerks hard. They ran with their tails between their legs, leaving the boy behind. Issei and Anabel came out of hiding and decided to help the poor child get back on his feet. Anabel held her hand out for him and he grabbed it and thanked them for helping him. He introduces himself as Bill and how he was a student at Pokémon University, your standard run-of-the-mill rich kid academy with snot-nosed brats. Apparently they say the higher you are in the school, the more badges you earn, and how they believe battles can be won by books and simulators. Issei and Anabel did not like this and decided to pay the boss a visit. Bill showed them around and they were disappointed that the kid said he could easily beat them since he won 2 badges in the simulator, and he soon learned the difference when Anabel sent Weepinbell out the window by Kadabra's physic. But how? Bill said as he held Weepinbell. It's that simple. She is stronger than you, so's the other one next to her. A girl with brown hair came out and following her were some boys and girls as well. Now I don't know who you are, but I would like to know as to what you're doing here. New students interested in attending. Anabel shook her head. No, personally I don't like this one bit. Pokémon are more than textbooks and simulators, they have feelings, a life, and life is not just some game. What you are learning here is nothing compared to actually traveling and getting actual combat experience. It's what I would expect from a woman of no class or style. Giselle scoffs at her. Issei, having heard enough, decided to come into the conversation. Why don't you prove it? You said you're the strongest here, so why don't we see what's stronger? Comfort school versus traveling. Giselle looks at them and says, fine, I accept, and if I win that strange EV is mine, and if you win you can have some of the rejected Pokémon for being too scary. Deal? Issei shook her hand. Anabel decided to be the referee for the battle. Giselle called out Marowak and Issei summoned EV. The match between Issei and Giselle will now begin. No time limit. The match ends when one Pokémon is unable to continue, now begins. Marowak Bone Club. Marowak, charged with his club, raised high. Evlon, Ice Beam on the bone. EV shot a beam of ice at the bone and it got stuck to the ground, but before he could get it, he was struck by another ice beam. Giselle was furious at this guy for making a mockery of her. How can that ever use Ice Beam? Evlon is actually a special EV, she has the abilities of all of her evolutions including Glaceon, Leafian, Espion, Umbreon, and Slavian. Now Evlon finishes this with Shadow Cut. Evlon combined Shadow Ball and combined it with Psycho Cut and sent it right at Marowak. Sadly he fainted and collapsed with swirls. Marowak is unable to battle, the winner is ever, thus the winner is Issei. Anabel said before she ran over and jumped in his arms congratulating him and even in victory. After the match, Issei saw many different Pokémon such as Misdreavus, Hydreigon, Noibit, and Ralts. Issei pitied the poor little ones for not being able to come out, so he paid Giselle and said he would take all of them. After leaving the school he released them and said they were free to go, but only Ralts and Noibit went to Anabel, and the others went back to Issei with Misdreavus landing on his head and Hydreigon was snuggling next to him smelling his hair, which kinda scared Issei in a way. When they made camp for the night, Anabel was getting used to Noibit's playfulness and Ralt's shy nature, while Issei was getting used to Hydreigon's displays of affection in order to get his attention, while Bloom and Flora were welcoming Misdreavus to the family and was introducing her to the other Pokémon, which resulted in naming both of them Hope for Misdreavus and Xion for Hydreigon. Their human forms were interesting, with Hope looking like a 10-year-old with her hair like her Pokémon form with red eyes and a fang coming out of her mouth. Xion's form looked like a teenager with long blue hair that was tied with a pink bow that had long black ribbons on it. Her attire definitely resembled her Pokémon form with a black and blue gothic Lolita dress with leggings and black stilts. But the funniest part of her appearance were the dragon puppets on her hand to showcase her arms. Suffice to say they got along with everyone, and Issei was really enjoying this atmosphere and was starting to discover that he had feelings not just for Anabel, but for some of the Pokémon girls that he named. He wanted to tell them, but he had to be sure and see if they felt the same for him. Part 3. They finally reached Vermillion City, and personally Anabel was excited to finally take a shower instead of a lake. Issei understood and wanted the girls to spend a little time exploring the world around them. After checking into the Pokémon Center, Anabel and Issei decide to go ahead and do the trade, and now Issei has Metagross, and Anabel has 3 new Pokémon. Issei made sure Anabel could have unlimited space and keep her Pokémon with her so she could bond and train with all of them. Just as he was about to ask the nurse Joy if she could heal his Pokémon until a Chansey came in with a stroller with a Rattata in a serious condition. Anabel and Issei were shocked that a gym leader could get away with this. Anabel sent Issei a silent nod and took Nurse Joy out of the room so Issei could help them. "Alright, grass form, balance breaker," Issei silently said as he was cloaked in lime green armor and had an air that was similar to a garden. "I've been working on this for a while, time to see if it's paid off." "Alright, synthesis, vine whip." Issei summons vines from his armor and each one gently wraps around the Pokemon's arms, legs, or their stomachs, and then they glow with a golden aura, healing their wounds and giving them pleasant dreams. Sighing deeply, he quietly moves to the where he's greeted by a grinning Anabel, along with Hope and Evlon. "Softy. Dad, that was nice of you to do for them. MMMHMM. They spoke to him and were shocked because Ria's never praised him for anything besides winning, so hearing them thank him for healing really warmed his heart. Issei planned on naming Metagross Bullet because of how she hit the mark every time. When Human Bullet came out, she walked in a combat uniform with her armor on her hands and legs and an X-face mask on her head, along with her twin tails with metal balls tying her hair. After that he decided to go ahead and use Slugoo for this battle. When they arrived at the gym, Issei opened the doors and saw a bunch of people looking at them before laughing. "I'm here to challenge the gym leader, Lieutenant Surge." One of the guys walks to a black chair before saying, "Hey boss, another baby for the Pokémon Center." "Ha. Lieutenant Surge comes out and laughs at them. "Well, what do you know, a baby boy and his baby girl? So she is supposed to comfort you when you lose." Issei just sighs before walking to the battlefield. "Why talk when we can speak through the battle? Unless you're scared." Surge laughs at the guys he has in him. "Ha. I like you, kid. Definitely a lot braver than the other bunch I get in my gym. I hope you're not all bark and no bite. Trust me, my fangs are sharp. We'll prove it to you." "Alright, go Raichu." A giant orange and yellow mouse comes out and smirks before preparing for battle. "Alright then, go Slugoo." Out came a purple snail-like creature with a long neck. He glares and readies himself. Surge smirks thinking the battle is his. Alright uses thunder and doesn't kill him. Dodge and agility. Sligo speeds past the thunder and slams into Raichu and continues to gain speed. Raichu gets up and uses Iron Tail on that snail. Raichu shakes it off and jumps and slams his tail into Slugoo before a Dragon Pulse hits him in the stomach. Slugoo Water Dragon Dance. Quickly. He just needs a little push and he'll be unstoppable. Slugoo unleashes the red-blue ball into the sky and it starts to rain the dark blue-red droplets, and Slugoo begins to get his strength back while Raichu is looking a little worn out. Seeing he had to end this soon, decided to go all out. Raichu Thunder full power. Raichu charges with every bit of electricity in his body and releases it to Slugoo, who takes it head-on until he starts to glow before a new form takes shape. A purple dinosaur-like form, and now it's Hiragumi's final form, Gudra. Everyone was surprised it was unharmed from the attack and didn't have a scratch on it. Until Gudra shot a white ball of energy at Raichu and it exploded, resulting in a passed-out rat with swirls for eyes. Lieutenant Surge returned to Raichu and walked to Issei, who was congratulating Gudra before Surge came close and looked him in the eyes before a hand came out for a handshake. Issei grabbed it and shook it with confidence, and Surge was smiling then. "Kid, you got guts and strength to carry you home. You got friends looking out for you, be proud of what you have, and thank you for beating me. I almost forgot what losing felt like until today. Here, you have earned not just the Thunder Badge, but also a dog tag with your name on it. Dragon. Fierce, loyal, and strong." Issei looks back and thanks him for the gift before putting around Gudra's neck, saying he earned it. "Goo. Draw," he says excitedly. Now that the gym battle is over, the next part of their journey has only just begun. Stay tuned to find out what happens next as the journey continues. Meanwhile in Saffron City, a maiden was in her bed wearing a dark pink and green nightgown, shaking in excitement. "He's coming. I feel his aura and power, please hurry and come sooner else I might go mad. I've seen your mind and you're the only one making me react like this because of my love." On a boat, a blonde girl with a taller blonde woman share stories about each other until they look at the map before them. The taller one stated before asking the smaller one this where the next wormhole will appear, "Any idea what will come out?" The said small blonde shook her head. "I have no idea, but I have a feeling we'll get our answer soon when we head to the Pokémon camp near Dark City." Issei was asleep in his tent, but he now had a few new companions in his bed. Anabel, wearing purple pajamas with her hair flowing down, was snuggling into his left arm. Bloom had orange pajamas with a dragon on the shirt and flames on the shorts. The little dragon also developed in the chest and area. She was snuggling on her master's right arm. And finally Flora was sleeping on his stomach wearing light green PJs and had a bolt-like bow in her green hair that went down to her neck. Issei decided to tell Anabel his feelings he had for her. Anabel was so happy she jumped into his arms and fed him with love and joy of just being close to him. Bloom and Flora actually evolved into Charmeleon and Ivysaur after an incident involving Electabuzz, Magmar, Lucario, and Goodra attacking them after a little harmless prank that was actually done by both Even and Hope. Eventually, they confessed to their father and were punished with no dessert for 3 days. The girls were mortified because their father's cooked desserts were delicious, but they understood their choice had consequences they must pay for after the little stunt. Suzu, Alice, and Sean were happy and wanted to confess to Issei about their feelings, but decided to hold back until he was more comfortable with many women. Meanwhile, Evelyn and Hope were happy that their father had a mom for them. Issei loved the attention and being with them, but for some reason he thought it wasn't complete yet. XXXXXXXXXXX. The green-haired woman in Saffron City sneezed along with 2 blonde women in Dark City sneezed. A red-haired Elite Four and a blonde pink physics sneezed as well. XXXXXXXXXXX. Back to the gang, they just started eating breakfast, and during the meal Hope asked her father an interesting question. "Daddy, what's the plan for today?" Issei and Anabel looked surprised at the question until he regained his consciousness and asked Hope. "I'm not sure, besides some training, why is there something you want to do today?" Hope nodded. "I heard a spirit at a strange tower. She was lonely and had no friends. I was thinking we could help her." Issei pondered before asking Anabel. "Hey Anabel, are there any towers near our location?" Anabel brought out her map and checked for towers until she got one result. "I do, but you might not like this. Apparently, there was a little girl who died in a lake that was near that same tower, and there are rumors that her spirit haunts that place. Also, people are saying there's a strange Pokémon that no one's ever seen before, and it's not even recognized by the region professors." Issei was intrigued by the spirit and asked, "Is there a picture of the strange creature?" "Why yes, but it's a little blurry." "Here." Issei looked at the picture and saw what looked like a jellyfish, but it was blue, the head had stars on it, and the tentacles were different. "That's definitely interesting. Let's go check it out. And besides, the ghost tower is full of ghost types, and I could use a few." Hope tugged his sleeve. "But Daddy, you already have me." "I know, but I want you to train a bit more until you're battle ready. Besides, you're still young and enjoy your childhood while you still can," Issei says before patting her on the head. At the ghost tower. Within the ghost tower there were 2 creatures that the other ghostly residents tended to avoid at all costs. One was terrifyingly strong and scary, while the other never talked to them. The first one had long gray hair with a gold crown on her head, red eyes, black wings with sharp red spikes at the end of them, and finally it wore a grayish gown with red and black stripes in the middle, along with black and red boots. Her name was feared in the Sinnoh region, and the only reason she came to the Kanto region was because of the aura she sensed from her world. The other was in the form of a little girl wearing a light blue dress with blue hair and long blue knee socks. The most interesting part of her clothes was the giant jellyfish hat on her head that covered her face and gave her long blue hair a flow of beauty. She found a girl around her age and actually wanted to see if she would come to the tower. It was then that they both sensed a powerful aura entering the tower, and only one thought entered their thought process: he's here. Outside the tower. Issei and his team stood outside the tower and surveyed the area. It looked old and abandoned, a perfect spot for catching ghost types. Issei sensed a dark aura from the top. "Drake, do you feel that presence?" The dragon spoke to him mentally. "Yes, it appears to be waiting for someone, perhaps it's you it's waiting for." "Perhaps, but let's be cautious, for now." Issei and Anabel walked into the tower. The room was abandoned, and there was a table with chairs, a chandelier, and a red carpet in front of it. They went into the room and looked around for Pokémon, but could not find any in the area. What Issei didn't know was that a Pokémon was looking at him suspiciously until it opened a portal of darkness, grabbed him by the collar, and dragged him through the portal. Anabel was looking at an old photo book along with Hope until she felt a tug at her sleeve. Anabel looked away for a second and saw Hope was calling for her. "Yes, sweetie. What's wrong?" Hope pointed to where her father was. "Dad's missing." Anabel is shocked at the statement before calling Issei's name out. "Issei. Issei. Where are you?" Hope and Anabel didn't notice another Pokémon come out and sent out a strange power to the both of them, knocking them out before using physics to move them to her playroom. With Issei. Issei was in another world, but everything looked bland and boring, like there was no life in the area, just darkness and chaos. He stood on a rock and looked around him to see where the one who brought him to this world was. Alright, I know you brought me here for a reason, so come out and reveal yourself. Well, if you wanted to see me, all you had to do was ask. A soft feminine voice rang out behind him. Issei turned around and saw a woman who almost reminded him of Arceus for her long wavy hair, but he also accounted for the black-red wings on her back and the golden crown on her head. The woman stared at him before saying, "Do I have something on my face or do I look really amazing?" She then goes into a pose that shows off her legs and chest area very well. Issei, with all of his mental strength, just bopped her on the head and smacked her rear, making it jiggle a little. Issei chuckles a little before asking the woman. "You know who I am, but I don't know who you are. Mind answering my question, who are you?" She smirks a little before summoning a throne chair and sitting in it before introducing herself. "My name is feared in both the Pokémon and human world. I am the one who controls the darkness of both worlds. The one who rules the reverse world. My name is Giratina and I've been attracted to you, Issei Haidu. I heard from my mother Arceus about what happened to you, and I must say those children are pathetic if they can just speak to you like that. Honestly, the devils disgust me to no end, thinking they have some big shot. If I had it my way, I would have gone to your world, comforted you and showed your true strength instead of those cheap pawn pieces." Issei was shocked and honored that a powerful individual had taken an interest in him. "I am honored, truly, but why have you brought me here? For battle to see if I'm worthy of having you join my team?" Giratina was smiling at him before saying, "Why yes, you are correct. Prepare yourself for I won't be going easy on you, oh. And you can use those balance breaker forms if you want. Make it more fun to fight." Issei smirks and summons his normal balance breaker. He gets into a brawler state before saying to her, "Get ready to be wrecked." Back to Anabel and Hope. The two of them were in the middle of a room with toys all around them, and watching them was a little blue-haired girl. Hope woke up and looked around her before setting her eyes on her friend. You're the one I saw in my dreams." The girl smiled and said, "That's right, my name is Pluvia, but my Pokémon form is called Nihilego." Anabel woke up soon after and noticed Hope was talking to a girl around her age. She remembered the photo of the strange Pokémon before pointing at her and said, You're that strange Pokémon from before, did you knock us out?" Pluvia looked at her and responded, "Yes, and I am sorry, but I have been really lonely and I just wanted someone to play with me. Could you please bring me with you? Hope is the only friend I've had in a long time." Anabel looked at Hope and saw the silent question in her eyes, just asking for her friend to join them. Anabel knew she was going to regret this. "Very well, you can join us, but be aware you must be on your best behavior." Pluvia smiles, "I promise, and when can I meet my new daddy? Hope told me so much about him, and I really am interested in meeting with him." As if on cue, a black portal opened and out of it came Giratina in her human form, looking a bit beat but satisfied, and Issei in a black and purple version of Balance Breaker. Issei noticed Anabel and Co. Before waving at them, "Hey guys, did you miss him?" Issei was interrupted by Anabel as she tackled him to the ground and started him with fervor. Anabel stopped and let him up before saying, "Jerk." Issei sighs before hugging her. "I'm sorry I worried about you. Can you forgive me?" He finished by holding her hand. Anabel smirks before coming up with a wonderful idea. "I'll forgive you if you become my body pillow for tonight. And if you're good, I'll give you a reward." Anabel whispers into his ear, and Issei was beat red with steam coming out before he was brought out of his fantasy by his newest member of his family harem. Giratina smirks at Issei, which sets off the warning bells in his head and pulls Issei into her lap and sees him in front of everyone. Anabel was shocked and made sure to cover Hope and Pluvia's eyes before they could see anything. Giratina lets go of his before tapping the purple ball on his belt and disappearing into it. There was only one thought in his mind after that. Dang, that was one dot. In Saffron City, a green-haired woman is eating cake with tea and talking to an old friend of hers, Caitlin. "Come on, Sabrina. When's the dragon going to get here? I want to meet him," Caitlin whined while asking her friend. Sabrina rolls her eyes and smiles a bit, knowing she's been having dreams of her lover too. "Soon, my friend. I feel his power, it's warm and strong. I know he'll be here anyway now, but for now let us enjoy this cake." After the trip to the ghost tower, Issei noticed some tension between Anabel and Giratina's name, Cells. The two of them are very affectionate and territorial towards him, and sometimes they would fight over spending time with him. Not to say that the other Pokegirls are mad, they actually enjoy the drama between them. Flora, Suzu, Alice feel pity for his situation, but Bloom and Sean were snickering at his predicament. He had enough and told them that if they couldn't get along then he would refuse to talk to either of them again. Anabel and Cells were shocked, but it didn't surprise them once Issei told them it was just like how Arias and Akeno fought over his attention all the time. Feeling sorry for putting him in so much pain, they begged for forgiveness, and surprisingly, Issei forgave them, but only if they promised to try and get along. Speaking of the other girls, his relationship with them has actually improved with them. He made sure to spend time with each of them and show them how much he cared for them. Whenever they were in the city, he always made time to take the girls out on a date and sometimes trained them while they were out. His daughters loved spending time with him, and Issei noticed something going on between Evelyn, Hope and Pluvia, but he brushed it off for now. Right, how he had his own issues to work out, especially after the dreams he's had in the past few days. Flashback. Issei stood in a park where he saw a little green-haired girl sitting all alone on a bench while there were other kids running around and playing with each other. One of the guys came to her and said to his followers, "Hey look, it's the freaky Pokémon physics. Don't go near her, she'll throw you to the wall." The guys laughed at her, and the girl remained stoic until another came and pushed her off the bench and took her doll from her. Oh. Little Physic loves her doll. Well, we play with dolls too, but a little rougher, right guys? They grinned evilly as they tore apart her doll right in front of her before running away laughing at her and calling her a freak. The vision changed where the girl was older, around 16 years old. She was talking to a girl who had honey brown hair and actually enjoyed herself before hugging her. Please note she was crying during this time. Thank you, Caitlin. You're one of the only few people besides my parents who accepted me for who I was. Caitlin hugged her back and said, "It's alright, Sabrina, and don't worry. I'll always be there for you. So care to do a prediction with the cards?" She gestures to the tarot cards. Sabrina sighed, knowing if she didn't accept the offer, then Caitlin would throw a fit. "Alright. Maybe this can help me with my visions." Caitlin shuffles her cards and holds them out for her to take 3. She does so, and Caitlin handles the cards before reading her fortune. The first card predicts romance will follow you. Someone will come to sweep you off your feet. The second card predicts a great journey filled with adventure. The third card shows a troubled soul. The one who you'll fall for will also suffer as you. So care for him. Caitlin explains while Sabrina is surprised and shrugs it off. Before that night, she receives a vision of a young man with a red dragon facing a silver-haired man and a white dragon. She had a warm feeling when she looked at the red dragon rider and wanted to know who he was until it vanished. Then flashback. But still, who was that woman? And am I the one she's destined to be with? Issei thought as he kept waking and seeing Saffron City ahead of him. Don't get him wrong, he loves the way she is tsundere, stoic and angry, but gets so embarrassed at times. Once he stepped into the city border, he felt a connection with 2 people in the city. Before he could pinpoint the location, Anabel and Cells were calling out to him and told him to hurry up. At the Saffron City gym, Sabrina and Caitlin felt a massive power hit them without warning, and next thing they knew, both of them were on the ground on their knees, panting from the pressure of the aura. Sabrina was smiling because her destined one had finally come to her home, and Caitlin was surprised at the pressure she was feeling from outside. "Hey Sabrina, is this?" Sabrina shot up and grabbed Caitlin's hands before jumping up and down with her in tow. "He's here. He's finally here. And it would seem he worked his way into some interesting women. No matter. I will show him just how much I care for him, even though I may have to share him, as long as I can be with him and get to know him, it's fine." Caitlin was surprised, and personally, she felt something for the boy from her dreams. But she wanted to know who he was personality-wise and see how he treats his Pokémon. After getting back up from the blast of power, they both planned on making his gym battle the most interesting one he's ever seen before. Back at the Pokémon Center, Anabel, Cells, and Issei were unpacking their stuff before getting ready for the gym. Over the past few days, Issei decided to start using his other Pokémon besides the girls. He learned about physic types and decided to use his new Magmortar and Electivire, as well as Bullet. Anabel and Giratina wanted to spend some time with him, but Issei wanted to go ahead and get the match taken care of first. Giratina wanted to argue, but a circle appeared next to her ear and now had a frown on her face. Issei asked what was wrong, and apparently Arceus needed to speak with her at once. "Should I come along?" he asked her. She smiled, appreciating the gesture, but replied, "No, it's fine. Now go win the next gym." She opens a portal and disappears into it, leaving them behind. Anabel says that she wants to cheer him on, so he accepted her offer, and after getting everyone ready, they headed out to the gym. At the Saffron City gym, Sabrina and Caitlin have a special gift thanks to Arceus herself and decided to use this opportunity to show the person of their affection that they weren't defenseless women. Sabrina in her new form telepathically talked to Caitlin in her new form as well. "Are you ready?" Caitlin flexed her new arms and tested her power to make sure she had full control. She felt 100% before responding that "I'm ready." Sabrina smirked and said, "Ready to meet our love?" "Because I sure am." Caitlin teases her by saying, "Are you going to let him catch you?" She covers her mouth from laughing from seeing Sabrina's beet red face. Back to our heroes. Issei and Sabrina made their way to the gym and noticed that as they entered no one was there to greet them. Curiosity, overwhelmed their logical side, got the better of them as they went through the room before hearing a voice in their head. "Welcome, we have been expecting you. Issei Haidu, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. My friend and I have a special surprise for you, something that will make the battle more interesting. Are you willing to come forth and challenge us?" Issei, surprised by this challenge, decided to accept it. "I'm in. Where do I fight you? Ask and you shall receive." The two of them were teleported to the arena and were shocked by what they saw next. Sabrina and Caitlin were standing on the other side of the gym, but instead of looking human they looked like Pokémon. Sabrina had golden hair, fox-like grin, spoons surrounding her in a circle, while she was in a meditative pose. She looked almost like Megalachism. Caitlin had black hair, purple eyes, and was wearing a gothic dress. She resembled a Gothitelle. Issei was surprised, and so was Anabel, because she had only seen Issei do this before. Issei, shaking out of his stupor, asked how they were Pokémon. Sabrina giggles before answering. "That simple. The same person who brought you here is the same person who granted both of us this gift. Can you guess what that is? Becoming one with your Pokémon. But I think you need to bond with them, correct?" "You're right. We can become one with the Pokémon we bonded with during our time. When I saw you in my dreams, I felt happy because I know you accept those who are different. You don't care who they are outside, it's about who they are inside, right?" Issei was shocked at the explanation and wanted to know more, but unfortunately he had a responsibility to accomplish. "So how are we going to battle?" Both of them smirked. "You know what to do to defeat both Caitlin and in a 2 versus 1 match. Your friend can be the referee if she warts." Anabel refuses to be apart from this and voiced her own opinion. "Hey, hold on 1 second. If Issei is going to be a part of this then so am I. Don't worry, I'm not some damsel in distress. I'll show you my strength." She responds with a pumped fist. Issei smiles at the thought of not fighting alone. Before he always fought the stronger opponents by himself and had little help, but now seeing Anabel put her neck out for him, it filled him with joy. Sabrina, Caitlin, and Anabel saw him smile and found themselves falling for him again after seeing how warm it looked on him. Whoa, he should really smile more often. His handsomeness level skyrocketed to 15 out of 10. Issei told Anabel to call out one of her Pokémon and she decided to use her new Bodyfly. Sabrina taught Issei about the Pokémon fusion and decided to try it out later since he wanted to use his balance breaker forms in battle to see if his training paid off. Anabel fused with Bodyfly and Issei thought he saw a fairy queen standing before him. Anabel unfurled her wings and as they opened, everyone could see sparkles in them. After getting her situated with the new form, Sabrina said the matches would be 2-on-2 since a new player decided to join in. Anabel and Caitlin were the first ones, and to make a long story short, Anabel annihilated here with stun spore and different status moves before revealing her wings and shot several signal beams out of them, inflicting a lot of damage to Caitlin, knocking her out. Unfortunately, her victory was short-lived as Sabrina used her enhanced physic powers to toss Anabel around like a ball before bringing her in face to face and finished her with a sweet on the dot, knocking her out with a nosebleed and beet red face. Issei and Sabrina were laughing their ass off at the sight before moving to the center and stared each other down. Issei was in his normal balance breaker and prepared himself. Sabrina summons her spoons around her and prepares for a tough fight. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. It was only until a drop of water hit the ground did they charge and start to punch and kick each other at a fast pace, so fast that Anabel and Caitlin had a little trouble following them. Punch met punch, kick met kick, and move met move. The two titans released a barrage of attacks. Sabrina used physic punches and kicks while launching physio blades at him. Issei, on the other hand, used fire punches and kicks and launched a fiery assault on her. Both of them ended their attacks and they both looked worn out. Sabrina was covered in burns and punch marks on her entire body, as well as having a black eye. Issei had cuts as well, but was missing 65% of his armor, but neither looked like they were ready to back down. Issei smirked before saying to her, "Let's finish this. Drake, do it." Drake sounded off like a mantra: boost, 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 boost. Please take note, while this was happening, Sabrina started to use Calm Mind and bulk up. After a good charging up, they smiled at each other like they were happy to finally see each other. Fire Emperor's Roar. Issei launched a roar of fire and draconic energy at Sabrina. Physics Wave. A powerful pulse of physic power covered the battlefield, and when both attacks hit each other, the explosion was so powerful as certain Arceus felt it. XXXXXXXXX. Arceus felt a powerful blast come from the human world, but shrugged it off as she had to continue the meeting. XXXXXXXXXX. The smoke cleared away, and both of them looked like they were ready to collapse until Sabrina turned back to normal and Alakazam separated from her after the exhaustion it went through. Caitlin declares Issei the winner and he smiles before collapsing and saying to her, "Good fight. Let's do it again some other time." XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Evelyn felt some strange feelings stir within her heart. She never felt this unless she looked at Hope. The two got along so well, sometimes they slept next to each other. As Evelyn got to know Hope and vice versa, the two started to develop stronger feelings for each other that they could never understand until one day they decided to ask Anabel, and what they were told was written in their minds forever. Flashback. Well, that's simple, you two are feeling romantic emotions for each other, such as love. Both of them were shocked until they said but were girls. They were wondering how they could love each other if they were the same gender. Anabel saw this and put a hand on their shoulders before whispering to them, "Don't bottle them deep inside, trust me when I say this, it will hurt if you keep it buried. Explore them and don't worry, I won't tell your father." Both of them thanked her, and Hope surprised Revlon by hugging her and ing her before saying, "I like you, Evelyn, so would you be willing to explore these feelings with me?" Evelyn smiled and said, "Of course, silly. But eventually, we will have to tell our father." Agreed. Agreed. Flashback. And from that day, they had a secret relationship, and Pluvia joined in after looking into their hearts and was overwhelmed with the pure love between them. After the battle at the Saffron City gym, Sabrina and Caitlin said they wanted to join Issei and his team on their journey. After talking with Sabrina's parents, they allowed her to come with us on our journey, and Caitlin said she was on a 3-month vacation. Apparently, she had too much vacation time built up, so they decided to send her on a vacation. After leaving Saffron City, they made their way to Celadon City where they met Erica, the gym leader, tending to her perfume shop. She asked Issei how many badges he had, and Issei replied 4. Erica smiles and leads them to the Pokémon Center and directs them to the news, where President Goodshow is sitting and about to give the news. This year, the Pokémon tournament will have a new set of rules. This year, the tournament will consist of 5 regions, where the top 32 will enter to win the title the greatest champion of them all. The rules are simple. An image of the 5 regions were shown on the screen. Goodshow points to the Kanto and says, 1. In each region, you'll need 4 badges that you are assigned to win. This way the badges will be randomized and push you and your team past their limits. 2. After winning all of the 4 assigned badges in the regions, you'll need to face either a member of the Elite Four or the champion of that region. In order to enter the Pokémon tournament, you'll need 20 gym badges and 5 champion badges. 3. The badges cannot be handed out of goodwill or faith. They must be won in a battle. Pokémon League representatives will observe all matches and make sure they won. 4. Gym leaders, Elite Four, or champions cannot enter. I know some are interested in fighting, but this is for the best of the best trainers to fight and push to become champion. You can receive any information regarding the badges from the local Pokémon centers. That's all. Catch them all and good luck, trainers. The screen turned black. Issei was excited for the new tournament. He looked around and saw some of the rookies get interested in winning, but scoffed as he saw many of them with only 1 or 2 badges. Not wanting to be left behind, he went straight to Nurse Joy and asked if she could heal his Pokémon and if he could sign up for the tournament. Nurse Joy smiles and says, "Of course, I just need your Pokédex and I'll get you signed in." Issei hands it to her and she plugs his Pokédex into her computer, types a few keys, and a ding was heard. She unplugged Dexter and gave it back to him. "There you are, you're all registered for the tournament and the first one to sign up. The one you'll be facing is on the app. The app can tell you about your gym badges, champion badges, Pokémon you have, and the location of the gyms you must go to. You won't receive the location of the champion battle until you collect the 4 badges you need from that region. Oh. Before I forget, your Pokémon are healed up and ready." She hands the Pokémon back to him and he thanks her before leaving until a man wearing an orange shirt and jeans came up to him and asked, "Excuse me, are you Issei Haidu?" Issei nodded his head. The guy breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That is great, I thought I was going to lose you. Listen, a package from the Vermillion City gym was sent to you from Nurse Joy there. The package is a little big, so it's best you open it in a closed location. Please sign here to confirm the package is in good shape and has been successfully delivered." Issei looked at the package weirdly before signing the paper and grabbed the package with both of his hands. "Boy, this package is big. Wonder what's in here." The girls were chatting with Erica outside and saw Issei carrying a big package. Erica was curious and asked all of them what's in the package. Issei shook his head. "I honestly don't know. All I know is that Nurse Joy from Vermillion City sent it to me. Sabrina helped with her physic powers and carried it to the park. At the park, the box began to shake and Issei quickly cut open the box and a person jumped out of the box and snuggled up to him and let him out of the blue. The other girls were mad at this random woman until they saw her wearing a nurse uniform, and Issei, once he got his vision back, knew who it was. "Wait. You're that Nurse Joy from Vermillion City. What are you doing here?" Nurse Joy got up and walked to the bench and sat down before explaining her feelings to the man in front of her. "I'm actually here to ask you if I could join you. My Pokémon Center was upgraded and I was given a forced retirement. Out of all of my sisters in the Kanto region, I worked the hardest when it came to nursing Pokémon, but sadly, I was replaced by a doctor who's more of a flirt than a real doctor. He thinks people are the same as taking care of Pokémon and flirts with any pretty lady he sees coming in the center. The day you came to the center was actually my last day before I was told to retire from the center. When I saw how you rescued me and the others, I was moved by your kindness and saw the bond with your Pokémon. I want to explore these feelings, so I ask you to please let me come with you on your journey. I can help with healing, camping, and I also know how to battle a little. I have a Chansey and a Chimecho." She bows her head waiting for an answer. Issei saw the kindness and the purity of her confession behind what she said. He looked at the girls and they nodded, saying they were okay with her joining the group. He placed a hand under her chin and lifted it up to see her eyes with tears, then he fed her. She never felt so alive until that moment. The others were a little envious, and Erica had sparkles in her eyes when seeing this. Interesting fact about the Celadon gym leader, she's a matchmaker and a big fan of romance. She's also interested in both guys and girls, but none have ever clicked with her until she saw Issei. It was love at first sniff, flower joke there. When Issei pulled away from the nurse, Erica pounced on him and invaded his mouth with pent-up frustration and a little tongue. Anabel and Caitlin were surprised by this from the gym leader, while Sabrina sighs on the outside, but inwardly she's acting as a masochist. "I'm at the bottom of the harem now. Normally this would make me mad, but why does it feel so good?" She rubbed her legs together and loved the heat from being ignored by her master. Issei got up again and was surprised by the women capturing his heart. "Am I weak to beautiful women? Or am I actually healing from this? My heart does feel more alleviated now than ever before with the orc." Issei looked at them and smiled from the memories he made since coming here in this new world. He looked at the sky and whispers, "Thank you, Arceus." Arceus smiles as she knew the one she chose to defend her home was healing. Issei saw his Pokédex ring with a notification that Lance the Kanto champion was here and that he was available to battle. Issei got their attention and told them that Lance was here. They quickly found Lance's location. The Pokémon Center's battlefield. Lance was currently training with his Gyarados and Aerodactyl on the battlefield. Issei saw the power behind the attacks and decided to use his two new Pokémon, or as he calls them, the ultimate duo. Issei ran to Lance. "Hey Lance." The champion turned and saw Issei coming to him and asked, "Hello, is there something I could help you with?" Issei nodded and said, "Champion of Kanto and Master of Dragons Lance. I, Issei Haidu, challenge you to a battle. Double battle with no time limit. 2 Pokémon only." Lance had to admit, when he heard of the new league rules, he was intrigued by the challenges he would face and hopefully meet powerful trainers. He saw the aura that radiated from the kid in front of him and nodded at the confidence and strength from him. He smiles and says, "Alright, but friendly reminder, I'm no ordinary trainer. Prepare yourself." Issei smirks confidently and says, "I'm not ordinary either." The girls huddled to one side to watch the battle, and Sabrina acted as the referee for the match. I, Sabrina, gym leader of Saffron City, will be the referee of this match. The match will now begin with Issei Haidu of Umbrella Town versus the champion Lance will now commence. Each trainer is allowed 2 Pokémon only, and the battle will be over when both Pokémon on one side are unable to continue. Lance took out 2 Pokeballs and tossed them. Go Gyarados and Dragonite. The dragon and water serpent appeared, but the water snake had a pearl on its neck and Lance had a smaller one on a dragon ring that's on his right hand. Issei took out 2 as well and tossed them. Let's go Electivire. Magmortar go. The living generator and living volcano came out and saw their opponents before them before smirking at the challenge. The 2 trainers and their Pokémon stared each other down before Sabrina saw that both sides were ready. Battle begin. Lance made the first move. Gyarados Hydro Pump on Magmortar and Dragonite Ice Punch on Electivire. The serpent fired a torrent of water and the dragon flew with a blue fist before Issei said, "Electivire, block that Hydro Pump with Light Screen and Magmortar, Smoke Screen." Electivire moves in front of Magmortar and surrounds them with a golden shield before Magmortar releases a black smoke from its cannon. Dragonite stops and looks around for his opponents until he hears Electivire, Thunder Punch. Electivire came out and gave Dragonite a thunderous right hook. Lance was scared of Dragonite and responded to Dragonite, retaliating with Mega Punch. Dragonite mustered a Mega Punch and punched Electivire with a powerful left hook. The 2 went flying back, but quickly got back up and ready to go for another round. The 2 grinned before they ordered Gyarados use Aqua Jet and Dragonite use Dragon Breath. Issei ordered Magmortar use Fire Blast and Electivire use Thunder. The serpent was struck with a powerful thunder, and the dragon was hit with a powerful fire shot, but Magmortar was hit by Gyarados, the same time he was hit by the thunder attack. Electivire was hit by the dragon breath, but still held on, and Dragonite powered through using his arms to block the attack. The four stared down at each other, and sadly, both Gyarados and Magmortar fell with swirls in their eyes. Sabrina saw this and announced both Magmortar and Gyarados are unable to battle. Both Issei and Lance returned to their partners. They looked at each other and saw their partners. Dragonite took a heavy hit from that Ice Punch and Fire Blast. I'll admit the kids are good. I know I could have easily used Mega Evolution, but that would have been unfair since my opponent doesn't have one. I'll need to finish this right now. Issei was looking over Electivire. He's barely got any strength left. I need to heal him quickly before that dragon attacks. He said Electivire use Protect, then use Rest to heal yourself. Quickly. The lighting type put up a green barrier and began to rest, his wounds started to heal, and his strength started to return. Lance would not have this and shouted Dragonite. Breakthrough with Brick Break. The dragon got up and ran to the barrier, his left fist glowed wide as he charged and brought it down on the barrier and cracked it. Dragonite attacked over and over, by doing this the one crack started to grow and grow until finally it broke. And just in the nick of time, Electivire woke up and grabbed the Brick Break with a Thunder Punch and wrapped his tails around the dragon before shocking the trapped dragon with a powerful thunder. Dragonite screamed but brought his right fist up and started to hit Electivire with a Fire Punch until they were covered with an explosion. Lance and Issei pondered about their partners, and the girls were nervous until the smoke cleared and the two were covered in scorch marks and bruises. They looked at each other in understanding until Dragonite closed his eyes and fell. Electivire was happy for the challenge and used his tails to gently place the dragon on the ground. Lance was shocked, but not as shocked as Issei. Sabrina was shocked until she smiled and said Issei and Electivire won. The girls ran to Issei and Issei ran to Electivire and congratulated him on a job well done. Electivire smiles at the praise before collapsing from exhaustion and gives a thumbs up. Issei chuckled before returning his partner to his Pokeball before walking to Lance, who just returned his Dragonite, and bowed to him. Thank you for a wonderful match. We had a lot of fun. Lance smiles and offers his hand, and Issei shakes the offered hand smiling as he shakes it. Lance reaches into his pocket and pulls out a badge. It looked like a dragon's fang with red for the color. He put it in Issei's hand and said with this badge, you've completed the first part of your journey. Now it's time for your next destination. Hone. Your first gym will be shown on the Pokédex. Give us a good show. I expect to see great battles from you. He leaves on his Aerodactyl, and his cape flows in the wind as he takes off into the sky. Issei was surprised by this and looked at his Pokédex and saw that the first gym would be in Rustboro City. He looked at his girls and said alright, next stop Hone. And then Rustboro City. The girls saw his smile and made their way to the Pokémon Center to get some rest for the trip tomorrow. Unknown to our favorite dragon hero, some old friends were in the Pokémon world as well. Hone. A young girl and a young boy were getting ready for bed at a Pokémon Center. The boy turned to the girl. Will Issei be coming here? The girl turns to the boy and replies of course. After all. She looks at the moon shining in the sky and lets her blonde hair fall from her normal style before saying I am his manager and rival. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Nefarious Doctor for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.